Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Small Cap Discoveries conference call. Today on our call, we have Gordon Breese, the CEO of Katipult Technology. Katipult Technology trades on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol FUND and on the OTC under KTPPF. The company is trading at 24 cents with roughly 69 million shares outstanding, or about a $16 million market cap. I'd now like to hand it over to Paul Andriella.
Hey, thanks, Trevor. Gord, great to have you here today. Katipult is a new name to our sort of ecosphere. So very happy to have you here, and I understand you've got a presentation for us, so I'd love to hear what you got for us today.
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Trevor. And delighted to have an opportunity to tell the Katipult story to the group here. And I'll begin with just a disclosure around forward-looking information. Some of the information included in my presentation includes forward-looking information. And this is not a solicitation for any securities purchase. This is for information only, and excited to have an opportunity to share the Katipult story. So Katipult, very simply, is a software company that really powers the exchange of private capital, both in equity and debt markets. So we provide a full end-to-end platform to digitize that whole process. Some of the advantages our customers generate from that, things like improving the efficiency of that process, reducing redundancy, strengthening the important topic of compliance, and making the experience for all participants, including investors, an easy, straightforward experience. So we have a global team. One of the co-founders, Brock Murray, is joining me here in the presentation today. We have people and resources based in North America, Asia Pacific, and Europe. And to date, our customers in total have used the Katipult platform to power over $1 billion in private capital deals. And our customers operate globally, as I mentioned, including 20 different regulatory frameworks. So the platform has been optimized and customized in order to support various jurisdictions globally. We've been recognized as a fintech leader in the space, a growing customer base, and as Trevor has noted, we're traded on the TSX Venture Exchange under the FUND symbol. So let's talk a little bit about the market that Katipult serves. Today, there is a significant gap between what's unfolding in the public market space and what's happening in private markets. If you look at the growth metrics in the private market space, if you look at the ecosystem, if you look at the types of digital services and the processes that are used to power and support the private market space, vastly underserved, and certainly a market that's growing pretty dramatically. And if you look at this space, according to the World Bank and McKinsey and other independent sources, today the value of transactions in the private space are exceeding $1 trillion annually. So this is the general market that Katipult is focusing on. And what we've done is taken advantage of a couple of significant trends in this space. I've already talked about the value and the growth in private deals, but there's also other trends that are driving significant transition. The one significant one is a massive appetite or growing appetite and a participation of retail investors to take advantage of alternative investments in the private capital space. So it's a growing, highly underserved market. And if you look at the landscape, when we talk to our customers that are participating in private capital deals, this is the kind of landscape that we typically encounter. When they have software systems and they're using automation, typically it's older legacy systems, very expensive to maintain, non kind of modern cloud-based systems. a ton of manual processes. If any of the audience members have participated in private placement deals, for example, you'll know that the subscription document process, the signature process, everything related to participating as an investor in this is typically very manual. It involves printing, scanning, and submitting documentation kind of the old-fashioned way. Lots of compliance issues for private or for investment banks that are supporting these kinds of deals, making sure that investor compliance is well documented, the disclosure requirements, et cetera. There's also a significant global demand in this space. So there's demand for international investors to participate in deals across the globe. We also see a ton of high demanding client expectations in terms of what today, if in the case of typical retail banking, we're used to very automated, simple to use, easy to interface processes. In the private space, that's not the case at all. Cost pressure, just like in standard retail banking, there is a ton of pressure in terms of fee structure and the cost to deliver these services. So organizations that are facilitating private capital deals are looking for ways to reduce their costs and automate as much as they can. And I've already talked about the growth in private deals. Every constituent in this space, including the investment advisors, are looking for better tools and better ways to facilitate and participate in private capital markets. So that's kind of where the Katipult value proposition comes into play. So we provide a complete digital platform to support all the participants in a typical private capital deal transaction, from investors, issuers, the broker-dealer community, even the legal firms involved in creating and supporting the processes. So we're helping our customers transform from those old manual systems with a fully cloud-enabled platform, automated, zero defects. We support multi-language, multi-currency. The experience for those participants is intuitive, and we support a mobile interface as well. So it's a very strong, we believe, a very strong value proposition in terms of the Katipult solution that we bring to market. And we're targeting 3 distinct market segments in the private capital space. Debt and lending. We have a set of customers using our platform to support debt deals. Companies like Mintrust, based in Singapore, use Katipult for that. In the Canadian equity space, companies like SVX use Katipult for their impact investing type of capabilities. And globally, we see opportunities with global equity customers. So the company has delivered this sort of full end-to-end platform that supports multi-jurisdiction, that provides a complete solution to deal with the regulatory compliance, the different kind of asset structures, business models, and again, the unique localization requirements. So, we've had a significant market success over the last 4 to 6 quarters. Companies like Canaccord Genuity, ATB Financial, and very recently the TMX group have licensed the Katipult platform to automate their internal processes, to provide their customers and their users this pretty compelling solution that they've got deployed. And we've got some very strong customer endorsement in terms of those organizations using the Katipult platform. And in terms of our revenue and our business model, we are a pure SaaS, so software as a service product with a strong recurring revenue model. We enjoy high margins. We see the opportunity to grow our business and leverage that standard SaaS business model. And I'm the CEO of the company. We've got a pretty strong bench strength in terms of our management and leadership team. our board includes people from other fintech organizations who've successfully powered through growing and building high value businesses. People like Brian Craig from Solium Capital. Jeff Dawson is a director, and Marcus Shapiro as well. So, we've got a pretty strong leadership team, board, and if you review our quarterly results, projecting, well in terms of driving an increase in subscription fees and shifting away from kind of the traditional model that Katipult had when we first started around custom implementation and integration fees. So we're excited about the opportunity to build our business, to serve our customers, and appreciate the opportunity to share our story with the viewers here.
Awesome. Let's start. A couple questions right off the top of my head here, and I may have missed it on the presentation deck, but specifically for the offering you guys have right now, what is your addressable market size? Like how big can this be, and who are the other sort of competitors in the space?
Yeah, this is Paul. It's a great question. I talked about the value of the total private capital transaction market space. So today, that's over $1 trillion in terms of total size of deal flow. So we're targeting organizations that participate in that space. So everything from investment banks, private equity firms. In terms of the size of the addressable size of this market, we believe we can build a very scalable, high value business that serves this space. It's a relatively unlimited market in terms of total addressable space. If you look at some of the additional digital services that are used or available for those organizations that are participating, we see lots of additional upside in our business and our revenue model.
And how do you guys sort of get paid? You're SaaS, but is it transactional based, or is it per seats, per people? How do you sort of price what you do?
Yeah, so great question. It is a SaaS model. It's a monthly fee based on a range of variables, including the number of users and the volume of transactions. We have recently developed models that allow us to drive our revenue based on the value of the transactions that our platform supports for our customers. So recently, for example, we've structured an innovative relationship with the TMX group that's both partially a recurring fee plus a transactional fee. And we see more opportunities to build additional digital services in the platform that would feed both of those revenue lines for us.
So obviously you're a Canadian company. You've landed at TSX and Canaccord, and there's another Canadian company, I forget the name of it, but how much of the market have you tapped? And maybe let's sort of use the Canadian market as a model, because the US, the world market is almost too big to measure.
Yeah, great question. It is very much early days in the development of this market. I mentioned that, for example, the value or the percentage of institutional investments or investors participating in private deals is, the institutions are roughly 70–80% of that transaction value. We see the value or the portion of retail or individual investors, reaching 50% of that. So today the market is relatively immature. We've got a solid position in the Canadian market. You asked about the Canadian market space, but certainly there are other participants and other target customers for Katipult to serve in Canada. But we frankly see a much bigger market in the US. We have a handful of customers in the United States. We're also talking to a pretty good set of prospective buyers in that space, and we feel confident in our product's ability to meet the needs of customers in the United States.
So I used to work in the brokerage industry, and I know how much paperwork and the chaos that the back office always sort of look like. When you come in, I mean, you potentially are displacing staff, you're displacing, literally potentially some big pieces of that back office. And maybe sort of measure to us or give us a sense of kind of how do you change the back office of a brokerage firm?
Yeah, that's absolutely. If you look at the back office and the mid office space in a typical brokerage organization, you're absolutely right. There's lots of paperwork. There's lots of staff activity. Certainly, what we're seeing with COVID-19, for example, there is lots of pressure to digitize those processes, that workflow. And we have what we believe is a pretty compelling return on investment for our customers to move from manual to digitized processes. And in our experience so far, again, fairly early days, is that those resources, that headcount gets redeployed in other more customer-facing roles within those firms. So it's not really eliminating jobs; it's actually transitioning workforces of our customers into more high value, higher customer facing type roles.
No, that makes sense for sure. Okay, so you mentioned the TSX. I don't really view the TSX as being someone who handles, well, they're not front facing on the sort of financing side. What specifically would the TSX need from you guys?
Yeah, so they are rolling out a new platform to provide a way for issuers in non-brokered private placements to connect with their investor participants, provide and distribute the subscription documents, and complete the whole transaction from investor onboarding, deal closure, subscription document execution, and ultimately, a settlement. So they're using the Katipult platform. They're branding it as a TMX offering. They're using it as a means to automate that whole process. So it's a new service line for the TSX Trust organization that will be using Katipult. We're excited to partner with them and give Canadian issuers a fully digitized process to make their capital raising and their private placements fast, easy, simplified, accurate, and again, a great experience for everybody involved in the process.
So hopefully what I'm hearing is that, because I do a lot of private placements, I'm hearing that instead of that 50 pages of documents I've got to go through and sign and fill in, you're going to make it easier for me. That's what you're telling me, please, right?
You're absolutely right. There's no more, printing out, signing, scanning. In fact, the Katipult has we've got a pretty innovative e-signature technology we call K-Sign that guides the subscriber through the right disclosure points of the document, for example, and ensures that they cover the items that they need to based on their investor profile. We do that in a simple, automated, super easy process for anybody to be guided through, for sure.
Okay, thank goodness. I love you already. So there's a couple questions here. I'm gonna go read through them here from our audience just to be sure. Okay, one question around specifically the problems we're solving, but I think we were sort of touching on that right now. You're really streamlining a lot of these really mundane processes that are extremely time consuming and are very duplicated. Like I said, if I do 5 different private placements with 5 different issuers, it's more or less all the same information that I've got to fill in 5 times. And this system allows me to, or allows the different organizations to reduce that duplication. Does that sound kind of correct? Yeah.
It does, and you're right, and it does have cascading impacts. For example, as frustrating as it is for an investor to go through, a 25-page subscription document and make sure they sign and initial in the right boxes in the right places. A lot of those documents come back to the ultimately to the issuer, but in the cases of a broker deal, come back to the the investment bank, and those have to be a whole compliance team has to manually review those documents and identify those that need to be corrected. So you've got to spark up a whole frustrating interaction back with your investor, et cetera. But we also see over time the ability to provide investors with better insights, better tools for them to manage and to get better insights around their private investments. So this is a whole massive underserved market that we believe is ripe for new digital services, new capabilities that we have on our product roadmap. We're excited to work with our customers on bringing those to market. We see lots of upside and opportunity in the business.
For sure. Now, sort of interesting, the TSX, it sounds like they're almost a bit of a distributor for you. Would a listed company sort of buy your services, or would it be directed through the TSX?
Yeah, typically for an issuer that is involved with one transaction a year or maybe two a year, they've got an option to work with a partner like the TMX. It's typically other organizations that are facilitating multiple deals with multiple issuers that would actually license our platform directly. But again, we can serve and address the market in both channels, both means. Certainly, there's lots of opportunity in terms of the ways that we can address and participate in this market.
For sure. And so a little bit more to that question, like when you guys do go and sell, what is your sales model? Like how are you getting out there and getting in front of customers?
Yeah, great question. It's a direct sales model. So our sales organization, takes a cultivated or developed lead. We typically work with the client on better understanding their processes. Depending on the geography they serve. I mentioned we have customers in jurisdictions globally. There are some unique workflows that we fine tune and tweak in our platform for those customers. It's typically a white label solution for customers that are licensing the software. So they brand it with their own identity. We work with them on delivering that. And typically a sales cycle for us lasts between 90 and 120 days. And we provide ongoing updates and support to those customers over the ongoing life cycle and use of the Katipult platform.
And competitors, like are you really competing against sort of in-house laborers type business, or are there other software-based competitors?
Yeah, there are certainly some software competitors in some of the markets we serve, but most of the time, most of the interactions we've got organizations that are doing a big part of this in a manual way. Where they are using systems, they're typically in the investment banks using technology that frankly is 40, 50 plus years old. Some of those old legacy back office systems that really are difficult to work with, difficult to customize, and don't really meet the needs of this unique market.
Yeah, and I imagine a lot of the small operations that you're dealing with, they don't have the wherewithal or the sort of ability to invest in upgrading systems. And Lord knows that as far as compliance and regulatory issues around financing, those are constantly changing. So there's a lot of things to keep up with.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I've got a question here in regards to your board. The CEO of Solium Capital being involved, that's a bit of an interesting thing to see. Why would he join a small company like you guys?
Well, I think Brian Craig is our board member. Brian is he's an entrepreneur at heart. He I think he's very supportive of high growth, high potential fintech software companies. He sees the potential in this space. He's an investor. He's a board member. He's part of the Katipult team, and we're excited to have his experience and his background in terms of building high growth, high impact fintech organizations, and we're applying a lot of the lessons learned and the experience that people like Brian bring to the table as we build and execute our plans at Katipult.
And for those listening that have never heard of Solium, Solium is a quite successful fintech, Canadian-based fintech story that's really been a big win for a lot of investors. Why don't we let's talk a little bit about the stock. You've got about 68 million shares outstanding, I believe. Share structure: who owns what? What can you tell me about who owns the shares and insider ownership, things like that?
Yeah. So we have the shares are held pretty extensively by insiders. So people like Brock, Peck Mays, who's the other co-founder, are large shareholders. It's certainly. We've had investors, people like Brian Craig, in a convertible debenture structure, and so it's a pretty straightforward, pretty simplified cap table. Brock, I don't know if you have any comments that you wish to share around ownership distribution.
Yeah, no, just echoing what Gord said. I mean, it is held significantly by insiders. So, myself included, Brian Craig, who's our chairman, who you're mentioning from Solium. Is another kind of ex-Solium CEO as well, and former chairman of Solium, Mike Broadfoot, who's also an equity holder in Katipult. And, then there's obviously a bit of the market float. So,
do you have a rough idea what insider ownership might be, including the board?
I guess it would be about 65% roughly.
Okay.
Maybe a bit more actually.
Okay, gotcha. Oh, perfect. And as far as financing, when's the last time you guys did a financing, and what level was that done at?
Yeah, so I'll pick up that. So we closed a financing last year. That was the convertible debenture structure. We have a cash, our cash position is disclosed here, 1.2 million as of June 30th. Like other high growth tech companies, we sort of look at the opportunity to build our business through financing, and that's potentially an option in the future. Gotcha.
So another question I'll take here. Give me a sense of your average deal size.
Yeah. So one of the things that we've done over the history of Katipult is, when Brock originally founded the organization, they were more of a crowdfunding platform space, or provider, and we've seen a steady increase in the average annual recurring revenue structure as we've kind of gone up market to also to serve the investment bank market space. So our average customer is in the range of 3 to up to 10 to 15K per month, depending on where they are in that range. So one of our strategies is to continue to move up market and to increase our annual and monthly recurring, average deal size. And we see a strong cost justification for that in these newer kind of customers that we're serving today.
And as you get into bigger customers, do you find the sales process is longer? Maybe give me a sense of how you walk into a customer and how long it takes to typically close some of these bigger ones.
Yeah, and I have a lot of experience in the space, having worked 12 years, for example, at SAP. It's not an SAP sales cycle, but certainly there's more complexity in these deals. Typically, we have to connect with other legacy systems that the client is using. We've developed, and optimize our technology to play well with those other legacy systems. Yeah, the average, I mentioned between 90 and 120 days, probably certainly at the longer end of that spectrum. But those larger deals involve, different user groups in the organization. There's typically a pretty rigorous IT and security review process that we've gone through. And, as we build our business and encounter those kinds of those more higher demanding customers, it just builds strength and resilience in our company and enables us to kind of grow and serve those larger enterprise customers globally.
Mm-hmm. And let's talk about sort of where you see the platform in the future. Is there, are you guys spending heavily on R&D to upgrade or to add features? And what kind of features do you think the market is looking for, if any? Yeah,
so there's been a lot of development in the platform already. It is a fully functional end-to-end solution that we can deploy today. But we're not going to certainly rest on our laurels. We see, for example, the deregulation occurring and requiring us to continue to ensure that the platform is flexible enough to automate and drive workflow that gets changed or tweaked or adjusted as new investment structures are made available, in the various markets that we serve. We also see the opportunity to provide the investor side in particular with richer services, more insight into the status of their investments, analytics, reports, various ways that the investor, participating in private deals gets better insight and access to the status of their holdings.
And do you, obviously there's a fair bit of deregulation, crowdfunding has become such an important part of financial, or finance raising. Are there other things that are happening out there that are catalysts for what you guys are doing right now that I've sort of missed or may have missed?
Yeah, well, I think you've certainly touched on it. Things like Reg A Plus in the U.S. is giving individual investors more options in terms of how they can deploy their capital, and that's one of those mega trends that we are seeing is the growing appetite and the marketplace for retail and individual investors to participate in these alternative investment structures. And we see that as really the driving force behind innovation and the kinds of things that we want to do with our platform is to be the leading solution for organizations wanting to tap into and serve that growing base of capital and source of capital, frankly, for their investment structures.
Now, obviously, COVID, it's for a lot of business, it's had a negative impact. But I can see you're a business where if anything, you're providing less touch, less human contact. Give me a sense of how COVID is affected your just your operations and sales and things like that, and B, how has it affected your opportunity?
Yeah, certainly. So from Katipult's kind of internal operational standpoint, the pandemic actually hasn't materially disrupted our business at all. In fact, when Brock founded the company, there was a distinct vision to provide, employees an opportunity to work anywhere and contribute, regardless of the geography or time zone or location they were at. So inherently, the company has, a pretty strong operational resilience to being able to collaborate and work from home offices and remote locations. So we've continued to build software to support our customers, to close deals and serve new customers pretty effectively. From an internal operational standpoint, I think we're sort of 5 nines across the board. For our customers, organizations that were sort of going through a digital transformation evolution in their businesses, and some of the organizations in the financial services space are slow to change. Certainly we've seen the pandemic have a accelerating push for organizations to take manual processes and workflows and truly digitize them. So it's certainly an acceleration of those changes of moving to a digital workflow process, and from our perspective, that's a big part of our selling proposition, is for organizations to kind of move forward in that regard. So it's you don't want to comment that a pandemic's great for your business, but it certainly hasn't presented any significant headwinds for Katipult.
No, I can see how it's accelerated some of the things that were going to happen anyway over time. So appreciate that. I mean, sort of one of the last questions here. What keeps you up at night? What are you? What does worry you, if anything?
Yeah, I think making sure that if I think about sort of our challenges, and the things that, as you say, keep me awake at night, is making sure that we have access to the talent necessary to keep building momentum in our business. So finding people, software engineers and digital experts who have private capital or even capital market experience is that's kind of a finite resource. So we're getting creative on how we recruit, how we work with our customer partners, how we work in the marketplace to identify and frankly even develop that talent is really kind of our path forward. But we're excited about the opportunity that we see in front of us. It's never easy to build a high growth tech business, but we feel we've got the right market that we're focused on, the right set of problems that we're solving, and a great team to make all that happen. So I'm having fewer sleepless nights, I guess, than more sleepless nights.
Good. As investors, what should investors sort of keep an eye out for, say, over the next 6 or 12 months, as far as Katipult? What can they sort of watch for, and any sort of events that you think, or industry events that could affect a Katipult shareholder?
Yeah, I think we're going to continue to focus on the market or the segment of the market that we see the highest sort of return. Some of those customer wins I mentioned, the TMX group, for example, have really have put us in a really compelling position in terms of providing a solid offering with the right level of market endorsement. So we're going to put our foot on the gas in terms of our execution. We see lots of opportunity in the US in particular, and we're going to stay focused on building our business, and ultimately that will return value to our shareholders. And look for the milestones and the wins from Katipult, and we'd be delighted to share it with the investor community.
Perfect, perfect. So we've kind of come to the end of the questions. What we always like to do is give you an opportunity to sort of end with whatever key points you want our audience to walk away from, or if there's anything you think I missed, certainly this is your opportunity to sort of leave us with the high points.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think I've covered, most of the points that I wanted to share. Again, I think we're in a fortunate position in having established a set of highly credentialed customers in terms of a market acceptance and endorsement of what we're doing. We feel we built a very compelling technology stack and have a business model that generates solid margins and return. Frankly, there's a strong tailwind in the market that we serve with respect to this deregulation and creating more opportunity for individual and retail investors to participate in private capital deals. And our razor sharp focus on that space, we're confident that we're going to return and build a great business for our shareholders.
Great. Well, obviously, you've landed two of the biggest financial clients in Canada, both Canaccord and TMX. So obviously, you're doing something right. Gord, I want to really thank you for the time here today. It's been great getting to know Katipult a little bit better. If any of our listeners wanted to find out more, what's the website address they can go to?
Yeah, it's www.katipult, so KATIPULT.com, and certainly an opportunity for investor or for people to learn more about our solution, to review our investor materials, and if folks have any questions, they can certainly contact myself directly or Brock, and we've got our contact information at the end of this deck. Happy to share that as well.
Awesome. Gord, thank you. We've been speaking with Gordon Breese, Katipult Capital, where am I here? Katipult Tech, sorry about that. Symbols FUND on the TSX Venture Exchange. Thank you so much for being with us today. And
thank you, everyone.
Trevor, over to you.